The Chiefs have a busy weekend as they re-sign two of their key offseason targets, one on defense and one on offense. We will talk about both those signings here on Gridiron Gambit.
Welcome, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for tuning in to this Red Kingdom media production, bringing you raw, authentic Chiefs coverage. Make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on your team. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Let's work. Hey.
Welcome to this special weekend edition of Gridiron Gambit. We are the two hosts for tonight's live edition. Clinton and Dale are here, and we are going to break down the two key Chiefs re-signings, as the Chiefs have retained linebacker Nick Bolton and wide receiver Hollywood Marquise Brown to the Kansas City Chiefs. Dale, how are you doing this evening, and what are your kind of, I'm sure we were all in shock. Both these moves came at inopportune times for all of us. So what are your thoughts about the signings?
Well, I'm feeling good tonight. This evening so far. It's great. I think for what we are trying to do and what we have seen so far in this off season, especially with the two re-signings that we're going to discuss today, I think we can be satisfied. I know we're going to get deeper into those signings as well too, and I see some people are upset about the Nick Bolton signing, but I will say this: remember the days of Anthony Hitchens. He is way better than that, and we're going to dive into that a little bit more, but being $15 million a year, I don't think that's pretty bad, where a lot of people was projecting him to almost get close to 20 million. I think they hit where they wanted to hit with this re-signing, but I know we're going to talk about that a little bit more.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it, because it seems like the Nick Bolton portion of this conversation is the I guess not the most perplexing, but the most surprising, especially for the state of the Chiefs and the, I guess, idea to get younger and replenish in the draft, and that $15 million a year price tag. They brought him back for 3 years, and at $15 million a year, guaranteed for $30 million. So, to me, that reads a 2-year deal for sure. So the Chiefs are willing to give Nick Bolton at least 2 more years. And, he does have a little bit of injury history to him, but we obviously know that Spags has pretty much all the respect in the world for Nick Bolton and gives him kind of all the accolades of that leadership role on defense. And, it has to be noted that, Nick Bolton gets resigned before this tampering period officially starts, and Justin Reed is still sitting out there on the free agency heap. So, not sure if that's kind of a signal for what the Chiefs think of Nick Bolton, but 2-year deal that looks like a 3-year deal, $15 million a year. What are your overall thoughts about that contract length and details?
Well, I'm okay with it. It's exactly what you said. It's essentially a 2-year deal because he's getting $30 million guaranteed, right? Fully guaranteed. And at that means you're going to be here for 2 more years, and that's 15 million. And then that last year, okay, that dead cap hit is not going to be as bad if you want to go ahead and release, and you're not meeting the standards that we want. And I like that you brought up the point with Justin Reed as well too, because either way it go, having 2 of those guys leave where they were actually working perfectly with one another, where we were saying Nick Bolton was the quarterback of the defense, but also at the same time, Justin Reed had those boys on the back end ready to go. It had everything pretty much aligned. You couldn't lose one of those. You couldn't lose both of those guys. And they felt like Spag said it already. He called Nick Bolton the Patrick Mahomes of the defense. So if you're giving a guy that type of title, it's kind of hard to see him go away, right? So I feel like I think we got him at a pretty good market. And then you seen other linebackers after him sign, and even before him with Zach Bond as well. Look, they all got that 3-year, $45 million deal. So I think all teams are saying with their best guys, the guys that they like at that linebacker position, hey, we're going to give you this worth. So they didn't meet that 20 mil a year like a Fred Warner per se, and they get to keep a guy who was a part of this run, won 2 back-to-back championships, didn't look that great this season. And I know a lot of people like to question him in coverage and call him molasses with his legs, but at the same time, we saw him make big plays with interceptions and do his part when he covered in the middle when he's focused, right? But I think a healthy Nick Bolton he's worth this particular deal that he earned today. And I think once they go ahead and try to restructure the contracts of Patrick Mahomes and then Chris Jones to open up some cap space, whatever they do to really, pretty much make that happen, I think, of course, we can still be aggressive in this free agency period as well, too, because now with, of course, you bring back Trey Smith, you got your guard, right? You got your right guard now. You bring back Nick Bolton, you have your you got your linebacker, so you still got Nick Bolton, Leo Chenal, and then Drew Tranquil. And then Nick Jones already walked as well, too. So we might be trying to bring in another guy in the draft, right? So you got that taken care of. We still probably have to go bring in a veteran defensive end, but keep in mind that we did have Mike Dana on a 3-year deal, so we weren't really worried about Charles Omenihu walking. However, there's still a lot of pass rushers out there to where we could probably bring in a veteran on a pretty decent deal. And that's like what we've been doing the whole time within this reign with Kansas City. We've been bringing in veteran guys to just a match up and just have a lot of bodies out there to throw at all those different offensive lines that we face. So I think they're just going to probably find another guy that could, of course, be feasible and will be suitable to be go in there, get a couple wrecks, get some pressures on the quarterback, get some sacks. But we still have George Karlaftis, Chris Jones, and then we have our guy Mike Dana on a 3-year deal. So we still got to find some D tackles as well too to fill in those holes. And I think with the Justin Reed thing, what have we did with every safety that we had as well? They played their 3-year contract. We went ahead, found somebody younger, faster, and then of course who can play within that system for 3 years with Spags, right, and hold it down on that end. And I do think that Travaris Ward is on the market as well too. That could potentially happen. So I like it. I think you're like, you know what? We want this guy here next season. Let's go ahead and lock him up right now. That way, the guys that we didn't want to walk in free agency, we got them coming back this year. So I think this was a great deal that they were able to of course, put together. Just think about it, y'all. It's the market. They were saying 20 mil. We got them at 15. That's a win for the Chiefs. That's your personal opinions if you don't like Nick Bolton. I'm sorry. That's really personal opinions. He's a hitter. He's a 3rd down stopper. He's a 3 down player as well too. What more can you ask for? He's a great talent that has clear weaknesses. That's okay. Every player has clear weaknesses. His is just known. But Spags try to put him in positions to where he can succeed. Why you think on times where he likes to send him in on the delayed blitz? We don't want to put him out in coverage. That's why we like to have extra guys, extra nickel backs, dime backs who can be able to come up and play the tight end instead of the linebacker. Because we're going to put you in a position in the rundown situations where you know you're going to stuff the hole. When we need to send an extra guy in for a blitz, we know you're going to be able to get to the quarterback and make a play on it. He does everything you want at the linebacker position. Yeah, he's going to get beat at times. I don't care what. Yeah, we want somebody that can cover. If you want somebody to cover, you're basically asking for another safety. He plays linebacker. Did you ever forget how the linebacker position is played? Ray Lewis, run stopper, hitting the hole. They tackle, but they also. I know we're in a different league now. You got to do more. You have to be able to be. You have to do a little bit more as well, right? I know what this game has come to, but he's 24, about to be 25. Christmas. This is a birthday present, and he can still grow within that. He can still get better. You can't teach speed, but you can enhance and grow his IQ to where speed is not going to be a factor. I'm going to know how to cover you regardless. That's what practice is for. That's what training is for. And I think he's capable of doing it. And being called Patrick Mahomes of that defense, that's a big title to hold. So if Spags is saying it, he has a lot of faith in Nick Bolton. But I like it and I enjoy it. I can't wait to see what he does this upcoming season.
I think you about summed everything up very succinctly there. With Spags calling him the Mahomes of the defense, I think it was only a matter of time when Nick Bolton was going to be brought back. And I think what you said about how he has his certain weaknesses and so does every other NFL player, I think to a certain degree. And I think once you start increasing that, guarantee money or that salary number that you're paying per year for that caliber of player, you expect those mistakes or those weaknesses to be well hidden. And I think, unfortunately, much of last couple of seasons, the weaknesses of Nick Bolton have not been well hidden and have been, arguably exploited at times. So I think that would probably be the main concern that somebody would have is you have a player that, like you said, is not quite perfect. He has his strength, but his strengths don't necessarily cater to how modern NFL defenses are played and what the modern middle linebacker of the NFL needs to be, where they can cover sideline to sideline speed just as much as they have the speed to run up and tackle the ball carrier. But I do think that Nick Bolton's leadership and the importance that he had to the defensive staff kind of trumped those weaknesses on film and for those that the Chiefs Kingdom watches. And you just have to believe that they have enough faith in the player that, like you said, they can cover up those weaknesses and put him in those advantageous situations where he can just do what he does best, getting those tackles behind the line of scrimmage, forcing fumbles, stuff like that, and not necessarily asked to play the Drew Tranquil version of middle linebacker, where you are asking him to run sideline to sideline in the zone coverage situation. I do, however, think that you had mentioned a linebacker, and that's kind of just down in the depth chart. I almost wonder if Brett Veach says, okay, I gave, the player that you wanted on defense, I got him back, but we do know that he has some weaknesses. And, I already took a shot with Leo Chenal the year before that. So what's stopping me from taking these other athletic linebackers, much like Nick Bolton was when he was drafted before, and see if we can find those versatile linebackers who start out as an outside, maybe as a rusher, as a coverage, and then see if he can do some more run thumping. Maybe some preseason game or some other situations we get to see Leo Chenal in a middle linebacker kind of position and see how he does. Because I don't think that Brett Veach has to be truly satisfied with the defense as a whole in the linebacker position. And I think this was kind of a decision that Spagnuolo, being in the position that he is, decided that Nick Bolton is too valuable of a player, like in the classroom scenario, versus what he ultimately contributes snap by snap basis on the field, if that makes sense.
Yep, it does. Hey, I want to go back to the point where you said it wasn't well hidden, right? The year that I felt like it was well hidden, and I love Drew Tranquil as well too. And when I know we saw the comment of from Ray Crown earlier, it's not that it's a dislike for Drew Tranquil as well. I think people just tend to overhype what he has done for us, and it's not taking away what he has done for us. Where more so, it's like what he's the contract he's playing on and the production that we get out of him. I take it at that price, but he is an Asian linebacker as well too. Willie Gay, he's on the market. He's actually, spoken out, and people reached out. Was like, "Hey, what you doing this summer? You coming back to Kansas City?" And he responded saying, "What's up?" Now I know that he's injury riddled as well too, but when you have seen him together when they both was on the field, he was a guy who primarily, of course, he can run sideline to sideline. He's very active. He gives me those vibes of a Dre Greenlaw. From the 49ers, where they're very hype, very active. They can do a lot of things. They move very quick, and his quickness, it's not like he was just a perfect in coverage, right? But he did what needed to be done, and that's where Bolton could focus on the front set, like inside the box. I got this area right here. Anything that's coming across, I'm killing it. I'm able to go ahead and hit those particular gaps where I need to clog it. That's why he was excelling. That's why he, from the 3 out of 4 seasons, was a leading tackler. That's why he's out of 4 players who, in the 2000s era, they had a combined total of 10 All Pros together. It's 4 guys: Luke Kuechly, Navarro Bowman, Patrick Willis, and then who else was on that list? It was another guy who was awesome. I said Luke Kuechly, Navarro Bowman, and then Patrick Willis. But I can figure out the other name later. But basically, they're the only guys out of 4 seasons had a total of 550 tackles plus 35 tackles for a loss plus, and he still don't even have an All-Pro. That's deserving. When we was in Kansas City years ago, when it was Anthony Hitchens and Ragland, we were getting bullied past the line of scrimmage. We're still at times getting pushed, but he's hitting that gap so fast. That's cool. He might not be as fast in coverage, but he's very smooth when he's coming up in the box and hitting those holes and getting past those defenders and meeting the running back at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. They see that effort that helped us in multiple years. We got dogged in this year's Super Bowl, but Jalen Hurts, you remember 3 years ago, bro, 2 years ago, you met him in the middle and got scared, dropped the ball, had the fourth longest fumble return touchdown in Super Bowl history. Making history. This is why they signed him to this deal. This is why they want him for another 3 years, even though it's a real 2-year deal. We know that.
Right.
They locked him up for this from this offseason, and we had a lot of guys that was interested as well too. Even guys who are in the division with the Denver Broncos. I think the Chiefs was like, nope, we don't want him to go to another team, and then we get he have his way with us when he see us twice a year. I said, nah. They said, nah, we're not gonna do that. We want him to be back with us because we know what he do on his defense.
So I think you about made the perfect point. I think Nick Bolton is at his best when he has a Willie Gay type linebacker next to him, which I think at this point right now we hope a combination of Drew Tranquil and Leo Chenal can be, which is that secondary type of linebacker who is, just as speedy as Nick Bolton, but is able to use that speed and quickness in another facet that Nick Bolton necessarily can't tap into. And I think when you think about it, if you're saying your middle linebacking core, not just Nick Bolton, if you have to combine Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquil together and say, okay, your middle linebacker, plural, but you hope would just be one guy, is a combination of $23 million a year, which I think Fred Warner, who can do both, is kind of that way and is paid at that amount. So if you say 15 for Nick Bolton and 8 for Drew Tranquil, 23 total, it doesn't sound as bad, but it still sounds like a lot. Man, 25 million towards, just one group of your defense. Like, the Myles Garrett stuff just came out today, 40 million a year for a defensive end. I mean, that's quarterback money. So 25 million together for what you hope to be, championship caliber linebackers. And at times they've lived up to that. And unfortunately, at times they fell well below average. So I think we're just hoping that those kind of start evening back out and they start ranking back towards the top again. It has to be noted that the last couple of years, Nick Bolton's been dealing with injuries. And last year, I think he had half the season off himself. And the year before that, maybe as well. So we've never really seen a full, game stretch out of Nick Bolton and gotten to see his true potential. So maybe his durability starts going up the last 2 years now that his rookie contract's over, and they can start unleashing Nick Bolton and not have to kind of hold him back and let him kind of acclimate and mature in the NFL.
You know what I think will work? So if you do go after Willie Gay, right, you bring him in. I know people's like, well, that will take reps that will more than likely take reps away from Leo Chenal, right? Leo Chenal has been a dog within the pass rush as well too. And one of our writers, Rod, he has talked about this a lot and always have made mention about this a lot. It won't take reps away like we think it will, because a lot of times he's in there on rundown situations as well, right? That's typically when he's in there. Willie Gay. We were used to them going alternating both out, going out, right? But typically we will see a Bolton and Willie Gay together. If you can get him back out there, you can have Leo. He can still be listed as a linebacker, but at times you can also put him up there in pass rush situations as well too. Maybe on the edge, on the outside, where you have it set up where it's like a Chris Jones, uh, who we still got on the roster. Turk and them gone right now. But say if you had like the Noddies and Wharton, say we both got them back, Felix, right? And then you still got George Karlaftis on the side. You have that extra guys where like, hey, we're trying to stop the run, or we're trying to send an extra rusher. You have 5 guys down on the line. And it's like how they set it up when you see it. Leo is standing up, but essentially you're in there as an outside linebacker. We run a base 4-3, but really it's a 4-2-5 because we like to really have 2 linebackers right in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have our dime backs out. It's a lot of things that you can do to where it can make sense, and we can hide Bolton's weaknesses. So I think they can figure it out. But I say all that to say this: I think go ahead, get a veteran edge rusher. Fill up the D tackle spots as well too. Make it to where our front 7 is locked in. They're solid, right? I think that will help us out in those points to where we want to hide those weaknesses. We know that we're trying to go get a left tackle. Kingsley more likely going to be a left guard. We're not going to be doing too much on the offensive side of the ball. Try to go get another running back, and of course probably add another wide receiver to fill up the roster spots, right? And I look at Ramijo as like McCole Hardman gone. We're going to rock with you as corner, as returner and kick returner. So with Hollywood, we're going to get into that next. I'm going to save it, but him coming back, you're not really worried too much offensively. We just need to get that tackle so where this is a new look offense. We know we're going to be on the offensive line. We're confident with these guys with Patrick Mahomes, right? Defensively, we just need to fill in those holes to where we still have that same unit, because we know more than likely Justin Reed is going, and we got another couple guys that's walking as well too. Not as important, but we were able to retain Nick Bolton, which that was like the main guy predicted, and of course Justin Reed to leave from the offseason, so it wasn't really as bad. So them being able to do that, I feel like we do have a lot of wiggle room and find ways to really work with things and kind of get back. I know you was worried about the rebuild, but I don't think we're going to stay in. I don't think we're going to in that direction of a rebuild this offseason.
Yeah, I get that, and I think Brett Veach pretty much came out and said that he had this desire to kind of retain the 3 people that at this point in time we see the Chiefs make an effort to keep. And, we talked about it a little bit in the previous episode, but, Trey Smith seems like that bridge for us to start talking about the Hollywood Brown after this. Mm-hmm. But with Nick Bolton's contract and it saying $15 million for the year, at this point in time, the Chiefs could afford to go into the season and pay Trey Smith what they're going to pay him. But I think there's, at this point now, an even bigger desire and a necessity to get that Trey Smith deal done, to have more flexible money for this year, because what you just said about trying to bring in the left tackle and all that, I think that is basically impossible with the way the salary cap is right now. And you just said Justin Reed is not on this team, Tershawn Wharton's not on this team. Some of these other guys who were starters or starter levels on this offense and defense cannot be retained, and they need to be replaced in some fashion. You can assume the draft, but that's a big stepping stone, and it can't come in free agency if the Chiefs don't have the necessary funds to do that. So the fact that they got this Nick Bolton deal done, I don't know if that makes me more or less convinced that the Trey Smith contract will get worked out by this year, because I think if that deal was a lot smaller, I think I would have had a little bit more confidence in it. But because Nick Bolton seems to be taking as much against the cap as he is, it doesn't seem like there's going to be enough to fudge the numbers and squeeze more from Trey Smith, and his camp might just say, well, you have this amount of money. Why would we agree to less money when this amount from the franchise tag is, I don't know, 5 times, 8 times the amount of money he's made total through his entire NFL contract over 4 years. So, I mean, you got to be crazy to turn down that type of money, even for some longevity in terms of a long-term contract. But it doesn't seem like Trey Smith is going to want to take that risk now that he sees that Nick Bolton got this much money at one time.
I think that's where the guarantees come into place, because I think, but depending on the guaranteed money, I think that's where okay, I think that's what turned Tyreek off, him and Drew Rosenhaus, right? They was really tripping off that guaranteed money. Now, being a left guard, being the right guard, right? He, with this franchise tag placed on him, it was $25 million. The highest paid person that's on the contract was at 21.5. You still getting 23 and a half, or what, 24, what, just saying something, right? Like everywhere it's not that 25. We're just really trying to clear the cap space for this offseason, right? Where it's not a big cap hit this year and we got money to play with. You still got to take into account Mahomes usually restructures every couple of years anyway. So you go ahead and get his restructure done, and you try to go ahead and restructure Chris Jones as well, because people forget that restructure doesn't mean they're taking less money. You're just going to get more money up front, and that takes the money off the books, and we're able to have more cap space for this offseason to go sign guys and bring them in, right? So you do that. The guys that we're looking at was Ronnie Stanley and then Cam Robinson. Those guys were older as well too. Ronnie Stanley got an extension. He's off the market. You were saying Cam Robinson that you probably won as well too. But we always said DJ Humphries was an option, which he's not going to be as high as them. So if you do get a DJ Humphries, that's left tackle that's done, because we're going with Kingsley at left guard, if that's how their thought process is. And I always said, if you're going to do that, you should still draft a left tackle in the draft, just so they can still battle, just so you can still cover your point, like, hey, we're going to put 2 bodies in this position. We're going to have guys that fight for it. And you still got the Wanye Morris and Kingsley, who were working at that left tackle position as well. We still have to figure it out, because obviously it's no guys that's available unless we trade for someone, which we don't know who to trade for. Nobody can tell me who to trade for. That would be perfect.
And so you threw out the name Ronnie Staley. Yeah. To me, the fact that Ronnie Staley gets re-signed by Baltimore and does not hit free agency and goes for about $20 million a year, I think if he hits free agency, I don't think we're having this live about Nick Bolton right now. I think they legitimately think about that as their left tackle choice and say the benefits of fixing this versus the resources it would take to affect linebacker. The Chiefs Kingdom cannot help themselves that, like, no matter what, we are not going to be satisfied with this left tackle situation. If DJ Humphries is who the Chiefs bring in trying to fix the position, it's going to be discoursed in the next few months. So but
they got to be prepared for it, because he did say like he wanted a full off season and he didn't get that. You seen what happened when he got out there. He had that injury that re-aggravated some and kept him out another couple weeks. So I get to where he's coming from, where it's like, no, I was all pro. I was a Pro Bowler before. Like, I'm good. I have to get back on my feet because I dealt with that injury a season before. And let's not, these dudes are big 300+ pounders. They coming back on the field, getting on them heavy legs. It's gonna be tough, bro. Like, I think you just gotta get a feel for it again. But we've seen what we can do with a Donovan Smith when they start out the season, right? And they don't have those injuries. I feel like DJ Humphries can be that type of player as well too, where you can see what we saw in 2022 and 2023. Truthfully, we'll win the Super Bowl. You give him top in the pocket, we're gonna make something work. And then we have that trio that's coming back with Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, and Xavier Worthy. And we were ready to see those guys on the field together. Now we still got to see it's legal matters, but it's like we got a lot to be excited for. Prepare yourself. That's all I'm saying. We're probably not getting that top left tackle. I'm just being honest. You're not. They're not in the draft. We're not going to be able to move up to top 10. Let's go ahead and forget about it.
Mhm.
Let's talk realistically now. Be prepared for DJ Humphries. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right. Well, like I said, the Ronnie Staley re-signing kind of shovels things. Now, if here in the next few days we do see like a Cam Robinson at a certain price point or a Dan Moore at a certain price point, I mean, that will signal that the Chiefs in their brain don't have a very good starting plan for left tackle and are just saying, okay, how many different options can we go into next season with? Can we get some draft picks? Can we get some guys on our roster? Can we get some free agent signings? We just need to shake it up a little bit. We already shaken up left guard, and we've decided that the middle to right side of the line needs to be the most consistent part. So, Mahomes loves to go to his right side, but we know the left tackle is the one that can kind of shut things down very quickly if the end on his side can get the rush very quickly. So that's going to be the ultimate sign for me. We may not see those restructures and stuff like that if the Chiefs don't feel like there is a competent non-Chiefs player or former Chiefs player on their roster at this point, because all these signings are happening from them being most recently on the team. And it seemed like Brett Veach had expressed the desire in part to mostly retain the players that we had. And that brings up the other player that we're going to discuss retaining, which happened on Saturday, which is wide receiver Hollywood Brown. There's more details about his contract. I won't, spare you all the details. It came out like it looked like it'd be up to $11 million. At this point, it seems more like a guaranteed 6.5 with a bunch of extra incentives. So a 1-year deal, another prove-it year for Hollywood Brown, coming off a year where he is injured and didn't get to quite prove himself. It did look like he was having some rapport and chemistry with Patrick Mahomes, and with the suspension looming and the news and then the unnews that happened on Saturday with Xavier Worthy that we'll discuss on another time. It seemed like the Chiefs were in need for those for that security at wide receiver. You mentioned to me before going live, the Chiefs don't have that many wide receivers on their roster to begin with. Nico Remigio needing to step up, and then our rookies and Sky Moore being one of those young guys who has not made it on the field, who keeps getting brought in to that group like he counts as one of those, not like the other, the clown meme. He's in the military picture. But, what do you make of Hollywood Brown's return and where that leaves this Chiefs offense?
Well, Hollywood Brown's return was needed. Even with the news that we got with Xavier Worthy as well too, looks like it's going to be on the up and up. Seems like it's going in his favor, so I think that's going to be great. Still, with him come back, regardless of what happened, I wanted him to come back anyway. Just because I wanted to see him a full season with Patrick Mahomes. So I think getting this trio back, and especially getting it done early on in the offseason as well too, we can start getting that work a little bit early on in Texas that we typically see with Patrick Mahomes as well. And I think this is going to be big for all of them. You see Rashid Rice in his rehab, it looks like it's going well as well too. So this coming season, I love it. I think having that element of him being a speedster down the field, but he has the full route tree as well too, and we saw it with the connection that he had with Patrick Mahomes when he first got back in Week 16 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think you get that, you have that right there. You're able to add that onto this offense, and hopefully we get that offensive line fixed to where we can see them get more connected down the field and have these big opportunities and these big plays that we want to see. But him come back on a 1-year deal at that price, I told you, wait for the number. I know it said 11 million because that's what they said at first. They said that 11 million to make us seem like, okay, they gave them a pretty good amount of money. Like, it's extra behind that. It's going to be a certain amount that's towards incentives. It's a certain amount that's guaranteed. But I think Hollywood Brown took that contract because he knew that he wanted to be back in Kansas City. He was like, I think truthfully, he was like, I start the season, I'm not injured, it's a different story. And honestly, a lot of times it's like that as well, too. Because what happened when we seen Rashee Rice out there? Regardless of how bad that offensive line was, we fed him the ball, we put points on the board, and we made it happen. That's all we needed. I'm not even going to say my wild little statement right now, but y'all know where I'm going towards getting to the Super Bowl. Feel the same way. I want that back. And I want that element of the offense together because I think Xavier Worthy is coming to his own as well. And we saw him have to be Hollywood Brown injury last year helped Xavier Worthy get to the point to where he is right now. And with all three of them coming back together, I think they're like, this is going to be a scary season for a lot of secondaries next year. And Patrick Mahomes is going to love that. So you get him done, you get them locked up right now. Down the line, you're probably going to sign other wide receivers to fill that roster, fill up those slots and everything like that. But like I said, you still got Nico Remigio. You're going to move him up. And honestly, they're going to give Sky Moore another chance, y'all. They're going to give him another chance somewhere. And it's going to be like 5th or 6th. It's cool. But if you could find, another 2 players that, of course, can add value to the offense, we can figure out Sky Moore role all the way up until, of course, his rookie contract is expired, and then he'll be going, and we'll make something work. But I think with those 3, and then you add on Travis Kelce next season, who said he's going to work his butt off, I feel like they're going to feel fine with that. And then you're going to find a veteran running back to go with Isaiah Pacheco. I know we don't like his performance towards the end of the season, but he came back from injury, everybody. We'll get that same Isaiah Pacheco from 2022 and 2023. He works his butt off to get to that point. We don't have to worry about that at all. I think we get that back. We just need to get a vet, and I feel like we need to bring back a Samaje Perine. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. You'll have what you had before, and I think this offense will excel. This offense is better than the 2023 offense. It's just we dealt with those offensive line struggles, and people were exposing that and taking advantage of that, and that's where we lacked, and you didn't see that greatness that could have happened. I think once you see them go all in on making sure that area of the offensive line is great, you're going to see the production of Hollywood Brown, Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice when he's back, Xavier Worthy. You're going to see it go up another notch. So I'm happy. I'm glad that he was able to retain him, and I think he wanted to prove himself this year again. Like, he's still young, and he's 27 years old. He still have an opportunity to get one more contract. This 1 year, this is a proof of deal. You may get it with us as well, too. Let me go out there and show them what I can do and go for a Super Bowl yet again, and hopefully this time we can succeed. I got a taste of it. Now I gotta succeed, and I wanna, of course, get across that get to the mountaintop and call myself an NFL champion. So I'm happy to have you back. I can't wait to see what happens this year, and maybe maybe you get a couple reps. We gonna get you the ball, go out of bounds, get out the game in preseason. We want to see you in the regular season. That's it.
No doubt. I agree. I think this is a slam dunk. The easiest no-brainer re-signing the Chiefs could have all offseason. And it all came down to whether or not any other team would find him as valuable as the Chiefs did. Seeing him practice in their schemes and all that in the system already. And it was just whether or not that base salary and the guaranteed money could fit. And I think both sides were willing to make the deal. And now we should hopefully see the redemption tour of Hollywood Brown. We should officially see Hollywood in Kansas City because we were kind of robbed of that experience last year. And just imagine if the pressure of not all being on Rashee Rice, does Rashee Rice get hurt in week 4? And the domino effects that happen from Hollywood Brown being healthy and staying on the field, that's for another show. That's not for right now.
Bro, when you think about it, bro, like everything that happened, Isaiah Pacheco getting hurt, Watson getting hurt, Rashee Rice getting hurt, all this is we still make it to the Super Bowl. I think the football guy said, like, hey, bro, I don't care about none of you Eagle fans. I'm really serious when I say this. Hey, bro, y'all are really overcoming too much. We gotta just show y'all, like, hey, we're not allowing this. You're not going to go over what we say as the football guys. That's truly me speaking, because when you really evaluate everything that happened in the season, Y'all went through a lot, bro. Like y'all overcame some things that a lot of teams couldn't overcome. We didn't saw Burrow when his best weapons go down. What he couldn't do. Honestly, Josh Allen, the only one who lost Stephon Diggs, lost Gabe Davis, but he started the season with those guys and ended up getting Amari Cooper. Kept his way, but Patrick Mahomes, these type of circumstances happen to him, and he's the only one other than Tom Brady that has overcome. And you didn't even saw Tom Brady when he didn't have sometimes the best of the best, or just some garbage players surrounded by him. He couldn't do nothing with that. We didn't see for 7 straight seasons, 8, I might be mistaken. Mahomes was able to make something happen with the unit that he had out there, and they weren't always pretty.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to give those props. I want to give those praise. Let them know, like, hey, you're a fan of Chiefs Kingdom. You're a part of Chiefs Kingdom. Just keep on being happy, bro. Get used to these L's in these big games, because we're going to be there a lot. But you're going to enjoy. The L's is going to feel worse than the W's, but the W is going to feel great when you're in those moments. As long as we win more than we lose, I'm satisfied with what we put out there. And a lot of people can't say what they have done. And I'm glad that, it's all coming together. It is culminating. It's just great. It's a great time. And this is all before the tampering period. This is a day before a lot of this happened.
So
it's cracking.
If I would say anything negative about this, and I'm not even meaning to take it that way, if the Chiefs felt there was enough value in Hollywood Brown, I would just say, hey, can we just do like 3 years? Like, let's just get a slightly long-term deal. We can give you, I don't know, we could just say 33, and it's exactly what it is right now, but just give you a couple more years just to have that security, just to have some security on it. Because with the way it is right now, I don't think that changes Brett Veach's plans in the draft. I think there's still people that say, oh, great, Hollywood Brown was chosen. Luther Burden, are you still available in the first round? I still want you regardless, even if there's, not enough receivers to line up on one play. I feel like this doesn't really change the necessity for more additional wide receivers on this roster like you proclaimed before. So if you thought that Hollywood Brown was good enough to be on your team, I ponder how come we couldn't make it work to just get another year or 2 added on, just to not have that need of I have to replace or get one more additional body into the wide receiver room this offseason.
I can answer that. I can answer that for you. I think the Chiefs would have wished they gave that 3-year, $33 million deal to Juju instead of MVS. And I think with that, Hollywood Brown, I feel like he's worth more than that. Typically, the route he was going down, he would have made more money, of course, than MVS and probably Juju eventually with his skill set. I think this deal came about because he didn't want to take that. I think he wants the 1-year deal because he doesn't want to stay on that particular deal if he has a stellar next season and he earns like that $100 million contract. Teams be thirsting for that as well too. I love you, Kansas City. I'm glad I was able to be a part of that. But y'all got these boys in Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy already as well too. That Luther Burden that you just said, this is how I feel like that happened. You have to be active early on in free agency. You need to do everything you want to do this month. You need to go ahead. Get that tackle. Go ahead and fill that position, that safety spot. Go ahead and get those tackles out the way. Do everything that you want, even the running back position as well too. You can take care of that, like in the late 4th, 5th round with the running back picking that guy up. So if you're saying get him and he's able to fall and we grab that, then that 1-year deal is worth it, Clinton. I'm not going to lie, because if Luther Burton's there, we're cool with that 3P after Hollywood. You go ahead and walk away. We're good. We're fine over here.
Right.
We're fine over here. And then all you gotta do is fill in those other spots as well too. You still need to fill it up, right? We typically like to have 6 or 7 wide receivers, so you still need to fill in the other 3. But the main 3 that you're gonna have, that's what our offense is surrounded by, and you still got Travis Kelce. So whoever you put in there, you just want them to have some type of value where they can add to it. We had Richie James who came in and was able to do a little bit of something. We was able to win with him. You know, like we had some stuff come together. We had Tony where we thought he was gonna be that. We figured it out and made it work. So,
Right.
but you have this skill set, these players that shown you. We were rocking with Juju and EBS and Kelsey at the time. You got for sure a Worthy, Rashid Rice, and now a Hollywood Brown. You got 3 of them along with Travis Kelsey. That's 4 altogether.
Mm-hmm.
I get where you saying I will want it and I will take that deal, but the Chiefs knew they messed up. They wish they would have swapped it probably with Juju and MVS, because that year that Juju did that, regardless of some of the games that he was out, he was 40 yards away from 1,000 yards. MVS was always at what, 500, 400, not even that much in a regular season. You're going to want to flip that because he was at least deserving of it. The reason why you didn't see as much of Juju this season is because you went to the Patriots, got that bag, kind of declined, and then when you came back, we already had the guys that we were going with. So you are our 4th and 5th option. And we know on any other team, typically if at the least, he'll be a 3rd, 3rd or 4th at the least. He didn't drop like that to the point to where he was taking reps at fullback and tight end. Keep that in mind. I think that's why I was like, all right, we'll go with this 1-year deal. You cool with that? Because that doesn't mean if you succeed on this 1-year deal that we don't try to get an extension done. Right. Because you still would have Xavier Worthy 2 more years on his contract, and then Rashid Rice 1 more year or so.
And it has to be said that Hollywood Brown signed a 1-year prove-it deal before actual free agency starts. So
right.
Obviously, you could have had some conversation with other teams or waited until it was legally time to do it and see if another team was going to pay you more money or give you a longer contract. So
he knew. That's why I like him, because I think this was betting on myself, and I think that's good business morals in a way. He could have waited, like you said, Glenn. Honestly, I could have waited. And regardless of why I did that last season, some team might be thirsty and be like, we know what Hollywood Brown is capable of. We're going to go ahead and throw as much as we can at him. He said, you know what? No, I'm not going to take whatever. I done saw other guys who do this, go for that bag, and be mad when they go to the team. They want to trade them later on because they're not, up to their standards, and they blame it on us saying we didn't come in and do that. I know this is a well-established team. I was supposed to do this last year. We probably would have won a Super Bowl last year if I was healthy. I want to try this again because I think he enjoyed working with guys like Rashid Rice and Xavier Worthy. I know he wanted to be out there week 1.
Right.
I think he wants to do it again because I feel he thinks his connection with Patrick Mahomes is what a lot of people wanted to see with Lamar Jackson. I feel like he think he can go to 1,300 or 1,400 yards with Mahomes. Honestly, I truthfully think he thinks that.
Right. But I think the contract number and length also says that he doesn't believe that he's going to be the number 1 target. I think he has the assumption that Rashid Rice or even now Xavier Worthy are kind of up the depth charts or the snap counts, so you will. And so that's why you're only getting 6 to 11 million. Versus these other wide receivers who are breaking the bank and they're getting all the targets. So the Chiefs are willing to fork over this amount of money now to Hollywood Brown, who has proven it, but hasn't been able to prove it on your team. They could also go and get TJ Humphries back early if they wanted to re-sign him. And we're not talking about that move happened right now. And last year they gave him $8 million, and that was midway point of the year. What would he want to get paid having a full season, trying to play a full season and all that? So that may also have been more expensive or just not something the Chiefs were willing to do. It's clear that there was value to be had in Hollywood Brown at his contract, but the problem is that tackles are not necessarily a good spot where value can be had. There's some rumors that right tackle Morgan Moses might be on the Chiefs' radar, but that is a right tackle, which means if you bring in him, you're probably asking Juwan Taylor to move to left tackle. And a lot of us have wondered when that move would happen. He's getting $20 million a year, the most paid at this point, but not if Trey Smith plays at the money that he's getting made. So it goes to be said, does Brett Veach want to go full fix and just let all 5 starters be the best they can, even if the left tackle is either a retread or the best of a bad situation, or does he fully commit to trying to fix the left tackle position like we're all hoping could be done?
I would say this: if you was talking about they was to get to Morgan Moses, if they was to get that to right tackle, and they wanted him to be the right tackle, I could sell myself on one Jawan at left tackle. I'm not gonna lie. I know that's a stretch. I know that's like, we're complaining about him right now. I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Jawan Taylor is really not that bad of a blocker. He has really got like the worst of the worst with some of these penalties that's called on him. Like with any tackle in general, you're gonna get beat. But a lot of times, if you go look at his statistics as well too, and it shows, because with the lineman stats, I know a lot of people say stats isn't everything, but it does show he doesn't allow as many pressures as people think. Now, he'll give up a sack or two in there, but he's not the worst of the league. He actually was in the top 10 within that of actually being able to hold up his own. I think with his style of play, with him trying to be quick, that can help out Patrick Mahomes a lot on the left side, because he wants to win. He wants to, of course, have all the best advantages to beat up on that pass rusher. I want that from a left tackle, honestly. That's why I'm selling myself right now, and I'm selling you in real time as well, too, Glenn, while I'm talking about this and saying this. When you put it together, it's like he wants the best advantages to be able to win his matchup. We saw our left tackles get obliterated all year. Right tackle, that's easier for Mahomes when you look at it from a standpoint to where he sees that pressure coming towards him, so he can have a better reaction of what's coming for him. If Jawan Taylor can hold his own on the left tackle, we'd be able to do what we need to do. We'll be fine. And I'll put this out here as well too. Wanye Morris didn't look bad at right tackle when he had to fill in for Jawan Taylor when he got hurt as well. Now, am I saying I want that? No, I will probably go with what Clinton just said with Morgan Moses. All I'm saying is, didn't look that bad, and Mahomes saw that pressure, and he saw Wanye hold up a couple of times as well too, but he was still able to produce against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's not a bad defensive line as well. Right. So it's not that horrible thinking Jawan Taylor, if you said that, going over left tackle. We gave you all that money for a reason. You was the highest paid tackle on our team, playing right tackle, and it wasn't a left tackle. And left tackle is the one that usually get paid the most. Just want everybody to think about that. Yep. You should go over there.
It is clear at this point that Brett Veach valued to bring back the stalwarts on this team that he thought either did make an impact last year or should have made an impact or can be the difference makers in the future. And those 3 players, 2 of those we talked about today, hopefully another player that, besides getting tagged, he gets extended long-term later. But it is clear that Brett Veach has had a plan there. And now it's time to see if Brett Veach has a plan for the rest of this offseason. And, left tackle is going to be the biggest storyline that we're all contemplating. But the draft in and of itself, how much the Chiefs move up and down, what type of player, how many players, how many more veterans need to be replaced, how many more they decide to bring back once the next few days of free agency are officially begun. But this offseason is already shaping up to be an exciting one. Already had a lot of moves happen, and it is clear that Brett Veach is not wasting any time in trying to get a plan together, whether it is the best or the plan that's most successful. We can't discuss that now, but it is very clear that they have a direction and they are moving forward over these last few days. Left Dell speechless. He ain't got anything to respond. So,
just be on the lookout for real. Be on the lookout. If anything, be on the lookout for tonight. If anything, if we see anything for restructures like that, I would say they'll probably try to get that done probably tonight, early tomorrow. But typically when our tampering starts, if I remember off good memory, it's typically the night before free agency actually starts. So things can happen, but I think a lot of motion is going to happen the day prior to free agency. But up until that night, you might see our first signing. And then, of course. we'll go from there.
Right. Either a slew of more Chiefs news and signings and restructures occurs, or we don't see anything. And that says that we've pretty much talked about all the major updates the Chiefs are going to have this offseason. But in either case, it's going to be a tremendous offseason, lots of work to be done, lots of work for Chiefs and Brett Veach, and lots of work on our behalf. So thank you all for tuning in on this Sunday night edition of Gridiron Gambit, where we broke down the Nick Bolton and Hollywood Brown re-signings. Before we go ahead and close for tonight, I'm going to ask you all to please like and subscribe. Follow us on all of our social media platforms at Red Kingdom Media. Make sure to give us 5 stars if you listen to us on Spotify. Leave a like and comment. Let us know that you enjoyed what you're watching. Make sure to go back and watch some past episodes of any of the other podcasts or video series we have out if you want to kind of see what it was like to follow us throughout the 2024 season. Perhaps you want to subscribe to our Substack. We've got some paid article series starting next week. So you'll definitely not want to miss that, especially if you like some team building and some mock draft talk. You'll definitely want to get on that. Perhaps you want to get a shirt and rep the Red Kingdom Media family. We got some links in the description. If you want to hit us up to get a t-shirt ordered, we can absolutely get that set up for you. That is all I've got to plug to you guys tonight. Like I said, I hope you all enjoyed, and hopefully that's not the last of the major exciting news the Chiefs could have. We're hoping for another 1 or 2 kind of shocking moments that we can get up and cheer for. I'm not saying Nick Bolton or franchise tag Trey Smith or the 1-year prove it from Hollywood Brown isn't enough, but I think we're just ready to be surprised and not just, pleasantly, blissfully led astray like we have been. We're ready for something to hit us by surprise, like we weren't expecting the Chiefs to make that move. So
We want Brett Veach to have a Howie Roseman type of offseason, but that's what happened when you're the champs and everybody want to be like you. When you draft well like Brett Veach, you got to pay the guys that come in. I'm not going to lie. He got some that's coming up in a couple of years where we're going to have the same conversation. So be ready for it. But that's a good struggle to have. That's all I say. So be happy about it. And it's good that we don't have to always go into the free agent market to hope that this player can shift the entirety of the team. We got Patrick Mahomes. That's where it's always going to start. And from there, we just build around that. And that's it.
Yep. And hopefully at some point, Clark Hunt will open up his checkbook a little more, and all those things about can we just bring in any player at any price can be put to bed, and the Chiefs can officially be the arch villains of the NFL. But that is all we have time for you this evening. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Hope you all have a good week as we officially are starting the NFL season for 2025. We hope it's a good one and ends positively for the Chiefs. But in any case, we will be here breaking down all the offseason storylines and moves and all that in between. Hope you all enjoy the show. Enjoy the rest of your week. And as always, go Chiefs.
Thanks for checking out this update straight from the heart of Chiefs Kingdom. We appreciate your passion, so please leave a like and follow us wherever you tune in from. See you next tailgate, your trusted source for all things Chiefs, Red Kingdom Media.